There's a feature I thought maybe Kaios will have. That's the ability to install apps on memory card. But they didn't add the feature, but it would have been a very nice feature to have because if we were able to install apps on the memory card, nobody will need to worry about memory space. And nobody will need to worry about how much inbuilt storage is in the phones they purchase. And these apps that KaiOS have, they are very light apps. So you don't really need very fast memory to run them. So not having the ability to install apps and memory card is, I don't think they have a reason not to add that feature, because that feature is very very useful. Because if we could install apps and memory cards, it would really help a lot because we'll be able to install as many apps as we want without worrying about storage. Although I don't really have a problem with this feature not being available because the apps here are very very light, and I've never been in a situation where I feel like I need more storage on my Kaios phone because the apps here are very light and the apps here are not much, and it's very very difficult to run out of storage on this kind of phone, except if you install too many, like a lot of apps or games, if you get what I mean. But what I want to happen is that in the future, if they are not going to upgrade the storage of KaiOS phones, they should at least add the feature to add to move apps to the SD card. If they can, if SD card can become the default storage for applications, they will not need to make phones with higher storage in the future, which it will bring down the cost of manufacturing. You know what I mean? Because I know apps, the operating system is very light because it's new, but in the future, when more developers start to develop apps and games, some applications would become heavy and we will need more space to install those apps. So the operating system should have the feature to move apps to the memory card. That is for people who don't have phones with a lot of storage. Because right now the highest storage capacity of Kaios phone is 4 gigabytes, and a time will come when 4 gigabytes will become very small or too small for people when more developers start to develop more apps on Kaios because people start to install more apps on their phones. Yeah, that's just my own opinion. That's just how I feel. Although that was how Android started out. Android phones and Kairos phones, they were not too different in the past. It was how Android phones started out. At that time, Android phones had cheap components and didn't have a lot of RAM. But eventually, when more apps started being available in the App Store, um, there's they, um, they created more storage sizes for Android phones because it was needed, and the RAM capacity increased. Even when Android phones were still new, there were phones with maybe 128 MB of RAM, 256 MB RAM, 512 MB RAM. Okay, and some of those phones with those low RAM storage capacities were high-end phones. Budget phones had like maybe 128 MB RAM, 256 thereabout. And then eventually, when things started changing, they started making phones with 1 GB of RAM, 2 gig RAM, and thereabout. So I have a feeling that things like that will eventually happen with the Kaios operating system because that was how a lot of operating systems started out. For example, like the Symbian phones. So yeah, that is just what I think. So I just hope they would eventually understand what is going on and why I posted the video I posted before about the hardware upgrades that need to be done in the future when they release KaiOS 5.0 upwards. And when they make all those touchscreen, all those more expensive phones, they can also make allow all these cheaper phones that don't have touchscreen and all that available. That's if they decide to make touchscreen phones in the future, or if they choose to make phones with bigger screen, they can just make better hardware for people who need better hardware in the future. More apps, bigger battery, better camera, better speaker, better everything in the future. And I know 4G will become more will become more popular on feature phones like this, feature smartphones like this. 4G will become a thing, and maybe eventually in the future 5G will become a thing here too. So just you what I'm trying to say so far is the hardware will always keep upgrading in the future. They will keep using better hardware in the future, which may or may not lead to higher prices. But at that time, processors, RAM, and all those other things will become cheaper. So the price difference might not be as much as we may think, because when all these things get older, they become cheaper. If you get what I mean. So if processors become cheaper, I don't think they'll have any reason to use all these um slow processors on their future phones. They can use better processors in the future. Like that's G Helio G85. That's like my favorite processor for budget phones. Supposing they make it a norm for all these Android Go and all these Kaios phones, gaming on budget phones will become a lot better. Opening apps will become faster. It will make the phone's performance a lot better than what it is now. But if even if it means they have to use cheaper hardware or cheaper cameras on their phones, that processor will actually do a lot on all these cheaper phones. They can't keep using cheap processors like this and expect good performance. All these optimizations they keep making, there's a limit to what they can do with software. You can't keep using the same cheap processors, all these old processors that are not powerful enough to run apps as fast as a lot of people want them to. Hardware would eventually keep getting cheaper, and all these budget phones that have 50 MP camera, 13 MP camera, and above, those cameras, they are not, the difference are not really that much between 13 and 50 MP and the others, and 48. You know, the difference is not really much in terms of quality. So why not use a cheaper camera and then use a more powerful processor and then use software to like optimize the camera to give us better picture quality, like the camera go. Like if you watch my other videos on this my YouTube channel, you would have seen what the Nokia 1.4 was able to do with the um, low megapixel cameras. That phone just had only 5 MP front camera and 8 MP back camera, but with good software, it was able to output a really good image quality and video quality. And a lot of my videos at that time were recorded with the camera on that smartphone. Even this video now is being recorded with this Infinix phone, this Infinix for 12i. And I know a lot of people will see that the video quality is not really bad. Once you just use a light, it's just once you have good lighting, the video quality will always be good. Video and image quality will always be good. That's why a lot of these Infinix phones have like 4 back cameras. Those back cameras are not there for nothing. They are there to just improve the image and video quality when you use the flash. You need bright flash in the dark to get good pictures. And also it's also the reason why they have front flash too. So if they can understand and do all this in the future, I don't think a lot of people will be rooting their phones in the future. I just pray they understand what I mean. All these phones they need better processors. Like you will see they keep making new and more powerful processors every time. And all these older processors they get cheaper, but a lot of manufacturers will keep reusing the same old processor to save cost, which is not really good. It just makes more sense to use a camera with lower megapixel, because if they use a camera with higher megapixel, the difference isn't really very noticeable, because they will eventually keep using a cheaper version of all those cameras with higher megapixels, which is not good. If they can't really optimize the camera to work really well with the software, I think it's better they do what Nokia did and use the camera go software, because that camera did wonders on that phone, especially with the night mode. I would encourage more manufacturers to use the camera go software on their Android Go phones. And this is to help boost the image quality as they use lower megapixels. I think that's what they need to do in the future. Just use cheaper camera and upgrade the processor so that people can be happy with their budget phones. Because that's what budget phones need. They need a processor upgrade and maybe more optimization. Although Android has already tried so far, but they need to use more powerful processors on their cheaper phones with maybe DDR4 RAMs, no more DDR3. All those cheaper processors should be a thing of the past.